2022 was a strong year for variety and creativity in games. Anytime you ask someone for a hidden favorite, it seems like you get a different answer. Whether you're into side-scrolling adventures, surviving hordes of monstrous creatures, exploring massive worlds, or digging through live-action footage trying to figure out how it all connects, 2022 had something new and fresh to sink your teeth into. Whittling it all down is never easy, but it's even trickier in a year with so many games that feel like they have few direct points of comparison. If you want to get a backseat view into our process, be sure to check out our 5.5-hour deliberations video, right here on Easy Allies. For now, let's celebrate the results with our final list of full honors, including our 2022 Game of the Year. Best Boss Fight. The nominees are: the final moments of Kirby's main story are glorious on their own, but it's the post-game that truly illuminates the extra depth that's there if you're looking for it. Nothing embodies this more strongly than Chaos Elphilis, an optional variation of the final boss that doesn't simply tack on some extra health, but adds a whole new bag of exciting tricks to learn. There are a lot of memorable encounters in God of War Ragnarok, but Garm stands above the rest thanks to Atreus and Kratos' nuanced conversations over the animal's fate, and a breathtaking sense of scale as the beast rages for survival. Cuphead is unforgiving, and the Howling Aces are no different. Each phase demands a steady diet of offense and defense as you deal with each member of the team in different ways and try to keep your bearings as they reverse your controls mid-flight. Elden Ring is one of the most popular games of the year, and part of that is thanks to the infamous and lasting impact of the optional boss, Millennia. Her iconic look and backstory are second only to her lethality and skill with a blade. Sifu is a journey for revenge against the man who killed your father, Yang. Fighting him is personal and emotional as you're forced to use everything you've learned, and more, to even stand a chance. And the winner is Millennia, Elden Ring.
Phase 2.
Best Multiplayer. The nominees are: Grounded's playful Honey, I Shrunk the Kids-esque concept is a charming playground that has us itching to craft and explore every inch of its fascinating and deadly world, looking for grubs and running as far as we can from mosquitoes and spiders. Hunting monsters with your friends is always a blast, and Sunbreak continues the tradition with some awesome new locations and encounters for you and your fellow hunters. Splatoon 3 expertly refines the creative and unique concepts of its colorful multiplayer battles, strengthening the ink-filled mayhem we love about the series. Shredder's Revenge is a delightful romp with the turtles that wonderfully captures the co-op feeling we love of kicking some shell with your pals. Darktide is intense and chaotic, filled with over-the-top action and adrenaline-pumping encounters. It's a dark, brutal world, and we can't get enough of it. And the winner is Warhammer 40K Darktide.
We're gonna need more rejects.
Best World Design. The world design category is a tricky one to define. It encompasses not only a beautifully or meticulously rendered world, but also folds in elements of how that world interfaces with the experience of actually playing the game. It's as much style and setting as it is intention and interaction. And the nominees are: Elden Ring is an undeniable juggernaut in both the scale and quality of its world. Vast and varied environments reward exploration and prove to be so much more than just open-world Dark Souls. Few games offer more beautiful places to inhabit than Horizon Forbidden West. Every inch is gorgeous and evokes many stories of a shattered past and burgeoning future. Not only are the places you visit in Rogue Legacy 2 interesting and complex, but the way the game itself reshapes to keep every playthrough fresh, new, and above all fun is a wonderful achievement. Much more than meets the eye, Tunic surpasses being a love letter and literally writes the manual on how to craft a cool and connected world. In Xenoblade Chronicles 3, as in former entries of the series, the world is as integral to your play experience as it is to the narrative, and this latest outing does not disappoint. And the winner is Elden Ring.
Oh, my stars! I'm so happy to see you.
Best 7. We know 7s aren't something that are usually celebrated, but we love them here at Easy Allies, flaws and all. As always, the qualification for this category is a game we reviewed that scored either a 7.0 or 7.5. However, this year we wanted to include games that we didn't get a chance to review, but we suspect would have gotten a 7 if we had. And the nominees are: The Callisto Protocol has some things going for it, like its melee combat, atmosphere, and freaky enemies. Of course, not all of it comes together, but it's still a solid survival horror experience. Dying Light 2 is a decent sequel that misses the mark on some aspects, but it's still a fun game full of exciting parkour and lots of zombies to kill. Sonic Frontiers can seem like a baffling game at first glance, but once you dive in, it becomes clear that there's something here beneath the madness. It's a good start for a new era of 3D Sonic games. Stranger of Paradise is an insane ride. It's undercooked in many areas, but its gameplay is a ton of fun, and Jack is an incredible protagonist that we can't help but love. Thymesia is a breezy Souls-like that doesn't wear out its welcome. It's rough around the edges, but its gameplay is solid and lays a good groundwork for the future. And the winner is Stranger of Paradise: Final Fantasy Origin.
What have I done?
Best Remaster or Remake. The nominees are: Digital Eclipse's impressive collection is more than just a reissue of old games. Its build is an interactive documentary featuring new interviews and material that give context to their place in history, while simultaneously delivering 6 brand new games inspired by a few Atari classics. It's been 14 years, but Zack Fair's origin story finally gets the respect it deserves with a massive HD facelift, excellent tweaks to the battle system, and an overhauled presentation that modernizes its look and feel with brand new voice work. It's always wonderful to see a piece of video game history resurrected for a second life, and that's exactly the case with Hidden Gem Live Alive, complete with new arrangements for Yoko Shimomura's first effort as a composer, improved visuals, and full voice acting for the first time ever. The classic SRPG Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together already saw a remake back in 2010 for the PlayStation Portable, but this newest edition further modernizes the experience for new players with revised battle mechanics, improved graphics and sound, and other quality-of-life updates like English and Japanese voice work. Digital Eclipse makes the list again with another impressive outing that celebrates the history of Ninja Turtles. All the classic brawlers are present, complete with multiple quality-of-life additions, new online play, and an impressive in-game museum showcasing previously unseen materials that will leave you shell-shocked. And the winner is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Cowabunga Collection. Best Additional Content. The nominees are: Cuphead's Delicious Last Course is a wonderful update that adds a brand new island full of gorgeous visuals and over-the-top bosses that are a blast to take on. Patch content added to Final Fantasy XIV has been consistently great, with new additions like the Island Sanctuary, variant dungeons, and great new raids. It's hard not to stay invested. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a beast that refuses to quit, with 48 additional tracks coming with the Booster Course Pass, half of them released in 2022. It is a juggernaut that can't be stopped. Sunbreak serves as an excellent extension to Monster Hunter Rise, adding new locations, additional depth to its combat, and of course, furious new monsters for you to take on. The Winter's expansion adds a welcome third-person mode to Resident Evil Village's campaign, new characters for mercenaries, and a new chapter focused on Ethan's daughter, Rose. It's more Resident Evil, so we're not complaining. And the winner is Monster Hunter Rise: Sunbreak. Best game to play in one night. The nominees are: At first, we weren't sure what to make of the more static art style of As Dusk Falls, but soon it didn't matter since it's so easy to get wrapped up in the drama and tension that unfolds as a family finds themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time. The attachment and emotions run strong, and the multiplayer aspects work particularly well as players influence and override each other's decisions. Supermassive has been on a roll with the Dark Pictures anthology, and The Devil in Me brings the latest cast of recognizable faces to an abandoned hotel full of traps and dark secrets. With the movie night mode allowing a full group of players to assign roles and possibly fail split-second decisions, we're always down for another late-night lock-in. Sad game alert for sure, but Hindsight is a beautiful reflection on family and memory. In just a couple short hours, it connects you deeply with its characters, and it can have you mulling over what it's like to approach similar moments in your own life when the time comes. Squeezing in right at the end of the year, Lil Gator Game is a delightful surprise that has all the joys of discovery that you get from a strong open world without going on forever and ever. The environments are enticing, the quests and writing are clever, there's a pile of fun goodies to collect, and there's some real character growth, all in the span of just 4 hours. TMNT Shredder's Revenge is a fantastic excuse to get a group of friends together for a night of pizza and pummeling. With up to 6 player support, it ignites those memories of classic Turtles arcade action while making improvements every step of the way. And the winner is As Dusk Falls.
All my life, I've been scared of the shadows. But now, I'm finally ready to step into the light.
Best Character. The nominees are: in a game like Citizen Sleeper, where the coldness of space could so easily creep its way into characters' hearts, a bond like the one you can build with Emphas is made all the warmer. We'd trade soup for stories any day with this big and lovable chef. Jack Garland's singular focus is the main driving force of Stranger of Paradise, and we can't help but chuckle every time he completely railroads an NPC's heartfelt attempt at developing a side story with a cold line about wanting to kill chaos.
The camera decides as sovereign.
Elden Ring is a big game with a big world and a complicated, often fractured story. One of the clearer stories and standout characters is Ronnie the Witch, whose tale interweaves through the entirety of the game and folds in many wonderful side characters, expanding the lore in bizarre and wondrous ways. Thor has a lot to live up to in God of War Ragnarok, and he more than delivers with a surprisingly touching tale about fatherhood and living up to God-sized expectations. And the winner is Ronnie the Witch, Elden Ring.
And search now for the dark path, that I might one day upend the whole of it, and rid the world of all that came before. Well, has that roused thy interest?
Best Narrative. The nominees are: the world of Citizen Sleeper feels huge despite the intimate nature of the game. The characters, scenarios, and setting leap to life through nuanced and sensitive writing that makes your days on the eye feel real and consequential. One of From Software's more accessible narratives, Elden Ring still builds its story through a masterful combination of world design, lore, and character, which rewards the player for looking deeper and being curious about just what is going on with these strange grafted ghouls and that big glowing tree. The most traditional story on our list is no less intricate and touching. God of War Ragnarok weaves a heartfelt tale of parents and children, love, loss, and the burden of prophecy. Somehow making one narrative out of 3 completely different fictional lost films, Immortality surprises as one of the most inventive and unconventional experiences of the year, dropping the player in with very little direction to uncover the story in their own order and to discover the mysteries and tragedies of several key players. Immortality gives new meaning to the phrase, "Fix it in post." Brandon Jones stood in his vocal booth reading the 2022 Easy Allies Awards voiceover. He read this sentence and became suddenly confused. Was he in the script? Why was this happening? Oh, he thought, this must be the entry for the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. I was wondering how we'd talk about this game's story without spoiling it, and I guess this way is as good as any. Then he thought, wait, did I really just think that, or did I just read it because Isla wrote it into this section? But I guess you do think things as you read them. He continued on thinking this way until he remembered he was supposed to say, and the winner is Citizen Sleeper.
That's life on the eye.
Best Weapon. The nominees are: while the laborer-turned-rebellion leader's brick hammer may seem impractical and basic, its strength and weight requirements combined with slow and costly strikes ensure you need to always think tactically about when and where to smash. Arguably the most unique weapon on the list, the Dead End Express is as lethal as it is jolly. The giant chainsaw blade can be used like a traditional sword, but it's when it transforms into a moving train that things really get wild on the battlefield. Vampire Survivors is all about gathering weapons to kill and survive. While the early stages can be a tough learning experience, garlic can help turn the tables in your favor as you go on the offensive to vaporize anything that gets near you. Ice may be a familiar Kirby staple, allowing you to freeze enemies with your breath and gracefully skate instead of walk. However, in Kirby and the Forgotten Land, it truly shows its power. Guarding with ice makes Kirby completely invulnerable, and if you master it in boss fights, you can build up an icy coating that locks him in place and deals devastating damage when it shatters. Few things are cooler than a katana, and From Software is keenly aware of this. The Moon Veil can be obtained relatively early, has high stagger damage, and it can blast out a magical wave of light to give you some breathing room, resulting in one of the most deadly weapons in the lands between. And the winner is Garlic, Vampire Survivors. Oh, hell yeah, Garlic! That's awesome. Best Music. The nominees are: from the spine-chilling theme to the emotionally charged Blood Upon the Snow, Bear McCreary's follow-up score expertly navigates the challenge of retaining a familiar tone while simultaneously exploring new threads that elevate every moment of Kratos and Atreus' journey. Composers A Shell in the Pit and Tedx reunite to bring life to the perils and pleasures of voyaging through a complex roguelite with captivating themes that nail the atmosphere of each of Rogue Legacy 2's many environments. Certainly the most unique sounding of the entries, Splatoon 3's music feels oddly appropriate to set the mood for a world ravaged by a climate apocalypse, with its quirky sounds and crazy beats. A stunning mix of industrial, electronic, choir, and orchestra, Jesper Kid's backing for Darktide weaves a phenomenal soundscape that punches in hard when you're swarmed by enemies and have to crush skull after skull to escape, leaving you in awe of its power and resonance. Legendary composer Yasunori Mitsuda and his brilliant team treat us to another audio feast with a soundtrack that features Celtic-inspired flute, crafted from scratch to create sounds never heard before. There's a massive number of excellent songs to accompany you, setting a range of emotional tones as you journey the wide expanses of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And the winner is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And now, the nominees for our 2022 Game of the Year. Chained Echoes. At first glance, it's easy to assume that Chained Echoes is just another retro-inspired JRPG. And while it does take inspiration from some classics, Chained Echoes carves out its own identity in spectacular fashion. It's an incredible journey with a terrific cast of characters that defy expectations and a story that keeps you invested the whole way through. Its turn-based combat is excellent, with aspects like the overdrive system that adds a nice layer of strategy, as well as your sky armor mechs that give a great sense of power and freedom. It's a fantastic game, and one of the best JRPGs you could play in 2022. Citizen Sleeper. You awaken in the dark. A giant wall of text fades in before you. You're intimidated, but you read on. And the more you read, the more drawn in you become. You fall in love with this decrepit station and its down-on-their-luck denizens. You take chances. You put your trust in dubious people. You build bonds. You pet the cat. You realize Citizen Sleeper is one of the best stories you've seen in a game in a long time. You wake up and you roll the dice again. Welcome home, Sleeper. God of War Ragnarok. Continuing the journey after 2018's awe-inspiring reinvention is no easy task, but Sony Santa Monica impresses once again, crafting a game with jaw-dropping visuals, rewarding combat, and exceedingly strong narrative performances. Following Kratos and Atreus to wondrous new lands, we're introduced to a cast that stands toe-to-toe with the depth of our familiar leads, forming tense, uncertain alliances. Outside of the main story, some of the most interesting moments take place off the beaten path, as you search interesting locations, encounter legendary creatures, and endure battles that will make you earn your victory. Elden Ring. There was a lot riding on FromSoft's first, truly open-world outing, but once you take a few steps into this rich and astonishing game, it becomes clear that once again, you're in a world grafted together by some of the best hands in the business. The lore, combat, look, and feel of Elden Ring work together so well that it feels like an honor to be a lowly Tarnished, even when you're getting repeatedly cut to shreds by various villains. Immortality. Immortality is unlike any other game, even the other games made by this team. Match-cutting your way through disorganized reels of multiple films and behind-the-scenes clips, it doesn't take long to discover that there's more than meets the eye living within this ill-fated footage. Painstakingly realized period pieces combine with strange and interesting characters and inventive mechanics to make this movie mystery a pleasure to unspool, frame by frame. Rogue Legacy 2. Rogue Legacy 2 takes everything from the original classic roguelite and makes it better. Each run offers the chance to play a different hero class with a wide variety of weapons and quirks while traversing a handcrafted yet randomized dungeon. Top-tier platforming with phenomenal music heightens each encounter as you desperately search for food and loot to make current and future runs more manageable. With some of the most addictive short and long-term progression, Rogue Legacy 2 is a game we can always come back to. Sifu. Sifu is a very punishing game that demands patience and practice. A love letter to martial arts and classic beat-em-ups, the Pak Mei Kung Fu combat system is one of the most brilliant elements of the year. Fighting off thugs in each of the game's 5 memorable stages is electrifying, culminating in high-stakes boss fights that require different skill sets. Conquering the visceral quest for revenge is one of the most rewarding enterprises of the year. Tunic. It's been a long time coming, but Tunic proves it's worth the wait. While its inspirations are unmistakable, it's far from a simple clone, succeeding in making you feel like you're playing a classic Zelda game for the first time, working out where to go, what to do, how to move forward, and what it all means. At the center of it all are pages of an impeccably convincing instruction booklet written in an unknown language. These pages not only teach you the basics and nuances of the game's mechanics, but also hold the key to one of the most profound eureka moments we've ever experienced. Vampire Survivors. At first glance, it may be hard to see how it's possible for Vampire Survivors to suck so many people in with its simple yet addictive gameplay. Yet as soon as you get your hands on it, it becomes painfully obvious why just one more time quickly turns into hours of surviving waves of enemy hordes. Trying to figure out which weapons and skills best increase your chances for survival is incredibly satisfying, and there's no shortage of secrets and challenges to keep you hooked. It goes to show that you don't always need a complex gameplay loop to deliver a rewarding experience. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. A fusion of the best of both of its predecessors, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 delivers on the sense of exploration and adventure in spades. The improved combat system goes down much better this time around, and a more grounded cast of heroes with touching storylines keeps you invested until the end. Hero quests provide a new blueprint for meaningful side quests that encourage you to stray out further into the world, and it's all set to the best soundtrack of the year, making this not only another impressive RPG, but possibly Monolith Soft's best effort to date. And the Easy Allies 2022 Game of the Year is... Elden Ring. 2022 was a great year for games, and while there were many excellent titles throughout the year, no game dominated our thoughts quite like Elden Ring. Elden Ring is a groundbreaking game that feels like something you only get once or twice every decade. Expertly crafted, traversing Elden Ring's world feels like a magical journey, providing a wonderful sense of discovery and dread throughout. It's one of those games where we wish we could wipe our memories away and start fresh, just to be enthralled by its glory all over again. Hi, we're Easy Allies. When we're not picking our favorite games of the year, we produce reviews, podcasts, streams, shows, and more, all funded by regular viewers just like you. Head to patreon.com/easyallies to pitch in and get rewards. And be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay connected on YouTube. See you soon.
Now, go forth. Become Elden Lord.
That's the end of the movie.